Hello, CFA Nation. Gabe.
Nick the Wicket Keeper. Ha, I beat you.
And the Night Watchman is here again with the Wicket Keeper to bring you once again our 3 wickets.
Our 3 wickets, that's right.
Our 3 wickets, okay? For this last and final test match of the series, West Indies versus England, okay? And for those of you that are new to the session, basically it's what we learned, what we liked, what we didn't like. Really simple. Now, I'm going to let Nick go first because I know that I was going bananas on that live stream, and rightfully so. West Indies fans, you all felt my pain. So I know I dominated a little bit of the conversation, so I'll let my man get it out first. But again, before we even start, I just want to thank each and every single one of you guys that showed up to the live stream. If you didn't, check it out. It's still on there. If you have not hit that like and subscribe button, please do so. Hit that like and subscribe button right now so you don't forget at the end of this video. But with all that housekeeping aside, Nick, all right, start us off, cousin.
All right, so here we are, the 3rd test match in this series. If you're watching this, more than likely you join our live stream. If you did not join our live stream, we did almost a live stream every single day when there was not rain. So I was rooting for England. Gabe was rooting for West Indies. Gabe was more passionate about his rooting team because it's where he's born. He's from that part. I was choosing it just to get under his skin, just for that rivalry. And man, did I choose well. Did I get lucky? Because England won the series. Spoiler alert, 2-1. How about that? We didn't get any draws. We thought we were going to get a draw every single match. We didn't get one draw. It was West Indies started with 1 win, and it was like you've said it many, many times, it was historic. It was underdog. No one was expecting it. And for us, watching our first test series, we were like, oh, West Indies has a chance. Well, England showed up the next 2 matches, and the second one was really, really close, in my opinion. The third one was a takeaway by England. So we are going to discuss our 3 wickets, and we are going to talk about either just this match or the entire series. I'll let Gabe choose when he's doing it, which one he wants to do. I am going to focus just on this match and then maybe have some parting words for the entire series. But let's start off with the negative. Let's just get the negative out of the way. What did I dislike? For the West Indies in this 3rd match, I was looking up the stats. I was looking up the scorecards after we watched the games. There's a lot to dislike. There really is. And I am not trying to break the hearts of the West Indies fans. We have quite a few viewers that were joining with us, that were rooting with Gabe the whole time. I'm thinking about Renell. I'm thinking about Biggs, right? I'm thinking about so many others.
Antonio, come on. We're deep, bro. We're deep.
Yes, they are deep. We are deep. And I like West Indies. I really do. I think they're a really fun team. I think they're really talented. But in this 3rd match, there's not a lot to like. There's not a lot to like. So what did I dislike? All right, so the main thing I'm going to focus on, because I feel like Gabe's going to focus in one area. I don't want to steal that thunder. You don't want to stop the rant or take anything away from it. So I'm going to start with the bowling attack. I did not like the bowling attack, especially in the 2nd inning. We knew England was going to declare. It was just a matter of when. But it was almost like the West Indies knew that England was going to declare. So do we really need to show up with our bowling attack? Because they really could not do too much. They did get some wickets. Let me bring up the stats right here so I don't take anything that they did earn. Holder got a wicket and Roston Chase got a wicket. And I might be mentioning Roston Chase later on. But their bowling attack was not nearly as strong as in the first match when you got Holder taking 6 or 7 and you got Gabriel taking 9. I mean, they were a force to be reckoned with. Maybe Gabriel was a little injured. Who knows? But the bowling attack was non-effective. We were so excited for Cornwall. Not affected. I still like the guy. I think the guy's an anomaly. I think he's fun to watch. I think he's got a great spin and all that kind of stuff. But it was non-consequential. And that was the main thing I disliked about this match is they were not able to get those wickets like England was able to whenever they needed it. So that's where I'm going. As far as England, what did I dislike? There's not a lot I disliked about the England side, but I will pick on someone because this is the segment. I don't want to give them all kinds of love. One thing I did not like was how ineffective Jofra Archer seemed to be. He had 1 wicket in the entire test match, and one's better than none. I mean, one's better than a donut. I'm not taking it away, but he was leaking runs. Gabe mentioned it best where he said, actually, he wasn't leaking too many runs the first several overs, and then he had some really bad overs. But after that, it didn't seem like he can get into his groove, and he was not able to be very effective. He had a catch or two, which was very helpful. We know catches win matches. But if I had to choose someone on the England side, because everybody seemed to show up, I feel like he showed up the least as far as the bowling side, and I'm just staying with that pattern of the bowling. Gabe, what do you got?
All right. First, let me address 2 things that you made up as far as your points are concerned. Jofra Archer, I believe that he is, if you were a baseball player, he's more than likely a middle reliever. He's not a starter, meaning he is ineffective once he throws so many balls, okay? And even the announcers, Michael Holding was talking about it. They feel like Joe Root, one of his weaknesses is how he's utilized Archer because, again, go back to it. 1 wicket, 17 runs, right? After his 8th or 9th over, then he starts leaking runs, and you can see his velocity. He loses his control. The first runs he gave up, actually, the ball went over somebody's head all the way to the back, to the boundary. As he gets tired, he's not able to keep that pace. You know what I mean? So I think that it's more an issue of, Joe Root needs to learn how to use it. Now, I've already discussed this with a lot of our subscribers, and some of the England fans are like, well, you're not a test cricketer if you can't bowl at least, 10 overs a day. Guys, who cares if it's 10 or 8? You know what I'm saying? Like, if the guy can get you wickets, he can get you wickets. Plus, the one thing Archer does bring that nobody else on that side brings is intimidation. All right? We asked a question again. Who do you want to stand in against? Not Archer. Go ahead. Put me in against, Broad. Put me in against other guys, but put me in against Captain England, Wokes. All right? Don't put me in against Archer because I don't want to wear one. So that's the point about that. As far as West Indies is concerned, what I disliked is exactly goes into what you're talking about. I don't think it was so much their bowling approach, Nick. It was their focus. Maybe the moment was too big for them because how many drops were there? They dropped. Gabriel had at least 2 wickets that were dropped on him, okay? Rawson Chase had a wicket that was dropped on him. And we dropped big ones. It is so frustrating. I know catches win matches. Listen, if you're injured, that's one thing. But catches, for the most part, are just being able to focus. All right. If it's a line drive at you and it eats you up, that's one thing. But, bro, they dropped like a weak pop up. You know what I mean? Like, that just was at that point, you're like, oh, come on, guys. You know, it was just frustrating. And it was across the board, okay? I can remember Cornwall had a drop. One day he makes a brilliant one-handed catch.
Oh, man, that was amazing.
He drops it right in the bread basket. What are you doing? All right? I know we give Joe Root a lot of flack. One thing Joe Root don't do is he don't drop.
Oh, man, no.
Play hot potato with that guy. He don't drop anything.
No chance.
And I'm like, somebody check his hands. He's got stickum on him because that dude don't drop nothing.
Spider-Man.
But the West Indies, what I disliked was I felt like they gave up. Okay, and guys, maybe I'm way off base here. Okay, you'll let me know in the chat. But I think like to me, after the second match, they felt in that second match, we're gonna draw this thing out and we're gonna win it in this second match. And they were momentum. They were already ready. They were, again, a couple wickets from drawing this thing out, and they were going to bat, and they already felt like, you know what? After this, we've already done our job because we get to retain the trophy. Because they've already won the first test match and the second test match. And then, of course, the nightmare on Elm Street, okay? Stuart Broad. The nightmare on Broad Street, okay, comes in and gets 3 wickets in 14 balls, okay? 3 wickets in 14 balls and only gave up 1 run. And that just completely I feel like after that, they weren't the same team. They weren't as aggressive. I don't feel like they had the confidence to play. And speaking of confidence, Campbell has 0 confidence. I'm sorry. He needs to be dropped. Listen. you can't go back and watch just Campbell's at bats and tell me he didn't basically give his wickets away. All right, bro. He looked like he was scared when he was walking up there. And I get it, because I'm an athlete. My kids are, I've been an athlete, I should say, in the past. Sorry. My kids are current athletes now. Sometimes a moment does get too big for you. Sometimes, you know what? You're battling yourself. You're battling those inner demons. But you can't tell me that guy was up there and wanted any part of winning. Not even a little bit. Not even a little bit. He was ready to go. He was ready to go because he was saying, you know what? Drop me off the team. That's the play. When you go out there and you get a duck and the night watchman, Roach, sees more balls than you do, that's a problem. He saw 2 balls. Are you kidding me?
Oh,
you know what? He needs to be dropped. Bottom line, he needs to be dropped. But it wasn't just him. I felt like that attitude was contagious. A whole bunch of Indies players, I felt like they just hung their head, and you can't do it. You're right. I am passionate because I feel like that's my kinfolk. All right. I'm from the Caribbean. So I go with that pride. I don't care if we lose, but let's just bang out. Let's go out there and battle. And did you feel they had any fight in them at all? Honestly, Nick.
No.
If you guys are watching this right now, be candid. Did they have any fight today? Come on, stop it. Those wickets started falling, and it was just like those guys were pretty much figuring out, all right, what time are we getting back to the hotel? I'm ordering me some chicken or some beef stew, something to eat, get some sleep, and we're going back home. They were checked out, bro. So to me, that's what I disliked, and it's so frustrating. I do want to say, I get it. People kept telling me, listen, Gabe, they did a lot by just winning that first game, and this is a very experienced squad. They weren't expected to go on and win. Who cares? At least fight. There was no fight in there, guys. Be candid. There wasn't.
So what did you dislike about the England side?
England side, once again, what I disliked about the England side, and it comes back to, I have to look at the entire match now, okay? Because they played well. I'm not going to bag on Jofra Archer. I'm not going to, Jofra finally got it right, Jofra Archer. I'm not going to bag on even your boy Root, okay? I'm going to bag personally on the selection committee, all right? And I'm going to go ahead and get on top of Ben Stokes. Explain to me, what were you thinking when you left off arguably your best bowler? This guy was amazing. The performance that he put on, even the announcers were saying this is probably the best we've seen him bowl in his entire career. You knew the guy was looking for his 500 wicket. Why would you not start him every single game of the series? And to his credit, he was humble, but he knew he was upset about it. In the first test match, he was upset about being left off the team, and he's let it be known so. So for me, I think sometimes politics plays too much a role, even in sports. And no one can tell me that wasn't a political move, meaning they're already looking at young guys because he's reached that magical age of 34 and he only may have another few years. So let's start looking at the young guys. He's producing. You leave him in there. If he's not producing, you start moving forward and looking for other guys. But you don't say, well, we got both Anderson and Broad, and they're both a little long in the tooth, so we don't want to both have them on the same team. What? Really? What do you? It's like they overthink it. I think that sabermetrics and analytics has ruined baseball to a certain extent, and I think the same thing is true of cricket. You know what I mean? All sports. These guys in the front office who've never played a lot of times, or if they have played, themselves weren't necessarily superstars. These guys make these choices based on information that they're getting from statistics and charts. And guys after 38 can't produce. Who said so? I don't care what 99 other guys did. Let me fail first.
He wants to burn it all down. I love it.
That's just real. So that selection committee needs to be held accountable. And if I'm England, I'm literally happy that we went ahead and won the trophy, but I'm gonna and retain the trophy, I should say. But I'm gonna go ahead and say that could have gone way differently, and all England fans know it. You were 3 wickets away, basically, from being from West Indies being able to draw out that game. Because had you guys got into that last day, there was no way you were gonna be able to get a decision. And we're talking about the second test match here, so some questions need to be asked. But to me, that's what I disliked.
All right. So a few points on your comments there. First of all, Campbell got 3 balls. He got a total of 3 balls. But to your point, Roach only got 5. Roach got 4. Campbell got 0. Campbell did get a 32 in the first inning, and he was, I think, the third highest score in that first inning. But to your credit, you want to have that performance at the end of the test match, not early in the test match. You want to have the performance when the test match mattered. It was almost as if, he made a 2:00 lunch appointment and he was expecting rain. And he's like, oh man, I don't know. It takes a long time to get these reservations. But I completely agree with that. As far as the broad goes, I mean, man, can you imagine? Can you imagine the destiny? You could not get in the way of his destiny, of his fate of getting 500. He got 500 at the end of the match, at the end of the series. He had to get he got 10 in this series alone. He got 6 or 7 in the last series or something like that. He got almost 20 wickets, for crying out loud, and he missed the first one. It was almost as if he had a pep talk with himself, and he said, okay, watch me still not get my 500, you buffoons. And he ended up being their best bowler when they left him off in the first test match. You can't outthink the room. This guy was like, no, I'm getting history. So that's fine. You want to leave me off the roster? That's fine. But I'm still going to get mine. So I just love that. That's amazing. All right. What did we like? What did we like? So much to like, especially on the England side. So what I liked on the England side, and this is going to surprise you, or maybe it won't. I don't know. But it's going to surprise you just because I'm anticipating what you're going to say. Obviously, Stuart Broad. How do you not like that? Obviously, that's love. That's not the surprise. I can go there all day long, and I can repeat the sentiments that you're going to say that you said in the past. Obviously, man of the series. This guy was unbelievable. He was a man amongst boys. He had his destiny in front of him, and he grabbed it. He took the bull by the horns, and he made sure he got his 500. But what did I like? Because that's the obvious one. I'm going to go for a less obvious one. Steve Wodgers, Chris Wokes. This guy, I said from the beginning of the test match 2, when I started watching him with you full time, I said, I like this guy. And it had nothing to do with his pretty face or his cool beard or his resemblance to Chris Evans in Infinity Wars. I just thought, I like this guy because he is not that flashy guy. Maybe I relate to him a little bit. Who knows? He's not the flashy guy in his bowling partnership, but this guy goes to work. This guy comes ready to bust out those 5 wickets. He should have gotten 6, but the run out didn't count for him because he, was really inconsequential in that, but he was still the bowler when the run out happened. This guy got 5 wickets in this series. He got a few others in this match. He got a few others in the earlier match. But today, when they need to close the door shut because that hard rain, that pouring rain was coming super quick, and they had to close this off before a possible draw would happen because of rain, Steve Wodgers, he went up there after kind of getting beat up a little bit in the first inning of the second match, I believe. I don't know. I'll look at the stats later on. He went up there looking at those rain clouds coming as if they were Thanos and his army, and he had his shield that was broken up, his arms all cut up, and he stood there and he gritted his teeth and he tightened up that shield, and he was ready to go. I can do this all day. And then before we know it, the cricket gods in his ear are saying, Captain, on your left. They had his back, and they were able to come to the rescue with his skills. So, Chris Wokes, you get what I like for the England side because you are Captain England. You keep rocking that beard. I'll keep rocking mine. You look better in yours, but that's okay. I will still be here watching you, becoming a fan. I don't care if we are in another test match where you're rooting for England and I'm rooting for the other side. Deep down, I'm always going to root for Captain England. So that's what I liked about the England side. What I like about the West Indies side, I've mentioned it a few times. Gabe had mentioned to me earlier in the text message, Roston Chase. Roston Chase was a boss in this entire series. He was the most consistent bowler, and he was the most consistent player, cricketer, on the West Indies side, in my opinion. Holder's a captain. He had a lot of wickets. Gabriel had a lot of wickets. But Roston Chase, I want to go through his stats just in this match because he had a 5er in the second match, I believe it was. This guy, just in this match, he got himself 2 wickets in the first inning against England, and he got one of the only 2 that West Indies got in the second inning. He got himself, and especially in the second match too, in this one, he was able to be that blood stopper. He was able to be that tourniquet where he was able to stop the bleeding, at least for a little bit. This guy's always got a smile on his face. This guy's going 110% when he's not bowling and he's in the field. And not just this, but my guy, Roston Chase, who has one of the coolest names in the business, in my opinion, this guy busted out. Let me get the exact facts right here. This guy busted out only a 7 in the second innings, but let's face it, everyone went down the tubes. And I thought he got a 60. That must have been the second match. But I'm going to talk about the series right now. This guy can show it with the bat. This guy can show it with his attitude. And I don't believe that he gave up, even though he didn't put up flashy numbers. He's there, in my opinion, to be that spin bowler, to be able to bring that change of pace. And he showed Cornwall, this is how you do it when you play Test cricket. I really, really like Roston Chase. I liked other players on the team. Honorable mention would have to go to Dowrich because he put up some runs in the first inning. He got hit in the face, and he went back out there, and he tried. He showed how tough he was. That's my honorable mention. Even though he didn't play his best as a wicketkeeper, he showed that he had nerves of steel by going back out there and facing his fear head on.
You know, you kind of stole my thunder a little bit. All right. Where you know, with the West Indies side, what did I like? Now, I talked about how I felt like they laid down. I talked about earlier what I didn't like. I didn't like the attitude, like they gave up. But what I did see from some guys was heart, okay? And when we're talking about heart, we're talking about my man Dorridge took it off the face. They showed how he barely got those gloves on there. His lip was yoked, bro. And my man went back out there the next day and played. He could have easily said, you know what? This thing is looking ugly. I'm already hurt. I'm injured. Get in a replacement for me. But no, he went down there and he went down with the ship, okay? So respect to you, all right? Respect to you, my man Dorridge. You know who I really, really like today? Hope. And I tell you why. I've been giving Hope a tough time because he's also been struggling. And today it would have just been easy to hang your head like I feel some other players did and not show up. But he said, you know what? I'm out here for my cricketing life. I don't care if even at home they're saying, well, it's all right. You know, they were expected to lose 3-0 and them just winning on English soil was such a big deal. No, he went out there and he realized the situation. And if I'm not mistaken, Hope had the highest score, right? For any
in the second inning.
He played cricket. He went out there, he saw balls, he defended. Good on you, kid. Good on you. I was giving him a whole bunch of flack, but now I'm like, you know what? Between Blackwood and Hope, at least Hope fought. At least he showed you I have potential to be an actual Test cricketer, okay? Again, Campbell, maybe he does have it in him, but right now he didn't show it. And when you held both their feet to the fire, guys, this last inning, they had to know that there were the rumbles going on. Okay, the announcers were talking about it. Let's be real. They say players don't listen to the media. They don't listen to the noise. Yes, they do. That's the reason I got kicked off of Twitter, you know, back in Stephen Ridley days. Players pay attention to the media. They know what's being said. And if you don't think that Chase didn't know, not Chase, I'm sorry, that wow.
Hope?
Campbell. Sorry, no, Campbell. Campbell didn't know or Hope didn't know that their jobs were on the line, then you're kidding yourself. They know they're feeding to a fire. One performed, one didn't. It's not a hard decision to me. And I'm not hating on Campbell. Bro, I got nothing against him. Nothing but love for you. Hey, he's an unbelievable player just to make it to where he's made it. But right now, he's not playing like it, and you are hurting the team. Maybe he just needs to be dropped so that he can get some fire in his belly again and make him play his way back in. You know what I'm saying? But again, that is one of the things that I loved when you put, you know, when you know you put your feet to the fire. When you put somebody against the wall, are you gonna fight or are you gonna fly? You know, fight or flight. One of them flew. Go ahead, take my wicket on 3 balls. The other one banged out. Now I'm giving you guys 36 runs. I'm giving you guys, I don't know what he saw, 50 balls or whatever it was. I'm going to come and fight for this team. And he was one of the few people who showed fight in my opinion. So big up to you, Hope. I take back what I said recently about both of you guys needed to be dropped. You fought for your spot. You earned it, cousin.
And what about the England side, my friend?
On the England side,
I wonder what it is. I wonder.
England fan, and listen to what I'm saying. Each one of you guys better go on Twitter. You better blow up that selection committee. You better let Ben Stokes know what were you thinking, because you guys made a mistake by leaving a living legend off of the roster for that first game. Man. Are you kidding me? This guy saved not just the one test match, okay, but he basically saved both test matches for you guys. Because yes, the first test match was lost to you guys, but the second test match, even though West Indies probably weren't going to win, you guys weren't going to get a decision. I don't think you go back and watch the momentum in that game, and I was so happy and confident. Me and Trey were over here like, oh, we're about to retain the trophy. We're already dancing. And all of a sudden, this guy came out and said, not on my watch. Not sheriff. When I'm here. Oh. And the sheriff went, oh, my gosh. Even though he's on the opposition, I couldn't help but enjoy how well he was bowling. He was absolutely amazing, spectacular. And people are like, oh, he has spells like this all the time. Then you explain to me why was he left off. And don't give me no garbage about, oh, well, it's a late season and these guys haven't had any training. No, you're England. You don't think England wanted to beat them 3-0? You think they wanted to drop that first game to the West Indies and lose at home? Stop it. A lot of people heard about it. That's why there was a change that was made. Bottom line is, he was the man of this entire series. Wait, it gets better. Then when England is finally getting her, because your boy Stokes doesn't show up, what he loses wicket on? My man Kumar Roach got him on like 3 or 4 I want to say he gave up maybe 6 or 7 runs. It was early. He got him really early. I think it might have been on his first or second.
No, he got a decent amount, but not where he got 20 runs on 43 balls. It's not what we're used to from Stokes.
Stokes got him out early. And then Kumar Roach was on fire, gets 2 wickets early. He had 1 wicket and 1 ball, one wicket on 1 run. And all of a sudden, okay, here comes the West Indies fighting again. I didn't mention Kumar Roach. That's my honorable mention. I'll get to him at the end. He went out there and gave us life. And even I'm like, okay, it's on, cousin. And I'm like, we're going to bowl these guys out for under. It was 272 when they lost all their batsmen. You know who was up to bat? Bowlers, Stuart Broad. And I'm thinking to myself, all right, we're going to get out of here with like 300. We could chase this thing down. I'm excited. 62 runs later, it was over. That's when the series ended. In my opinion, he took the West Indies right there and said, listen, cousin, it's over. Y'all not winning this thing. Not on my watch. Not when I know I'm going to get my 500th wicket in this series. How do you give up 62 runs to a bowler and actually go out to these and think to yourself, yeah, we're going to go ahead and win this game? Stop it. To me, those 62 runs were bigger than Ben Stokes' 176, by the way. Why? Because you expect that out of Ben Stokes. You don't expect 62 runs out of a bowler when Ben Stokes himself just got bowled out for 20 or whatever it was. The whole batting lineup, all their real hitters got bowled out for 272. And my man put up 60. It was 62 runs on 45 balls, too. He hit a couple sixes. This guy was a man possessed. This was the Stuart Broad show. And in my opinion, it was, for all us West Indies fans, it was a nightmare on Broad Street, because without Broad, we're hoisting that trophy. You better believe it, man. So that's what I liked on the England side. And man, I tell you what, Nick, let's move on to what we learned.
All right. So what did I learn? All right. So let me start with the Windies. I learned, and this kind of goes back to my Dowrich comment and yours too. I learned that some of these guys have some serious fight. I agree. It seemed like some laid down. And you'd already mentioned this, but I mean, this is what I was going to say anyways. Dowrich has got some fight. I can't imagine how hard it is. I don't think it should be underrated that you get hit in the face super, super hard. And I know it's not the first time in cricket, but you get hit in the face and then you go back up there. He was up there in the locker room and he took the rest of the day off, and we understand that, but he was up there saying, cut me, Mick. Go ahead. Cut me, Mick.
Cut me, Mick.
I want to go back. I'm not going down no more. I love it. He goes back out there, and when his whole team is falling like there's, I guess, nobody's business, dropping like flies, he's up there and he's doing the best that he can. He wasn't able to last too long, but he had fight. You mentioned Campbell. He didn't have Hope. Didn't have the greatest first inning, second inning, leading scorer for the West Indies. You're talking about players like, Holder, who you gave him a lot of flack because of his calls as a captain, but as a run scorer, he put up 48 in the first inning. He put another 12 on a lot of balls in the second inning. He got himself some wickets. I don't feel like he was ever giving up. He was trying to do all the reviews every chance they had to keep it going. They had a lot of fight in them. Roston Chase, Kamar Roach, like you said, another guy who's just always smiling, who loves to go to the yard and loves to drop some wickets. They have a lot of fight, and a lot of the people in the comment section, they were teaching us, they were letting us know, like, listen, the West Indies roster is just not up to par with the England roster, but they took that first game. They took that first match, I should say, and that was a huge surprise. They fought like the Dickens in the second match. In this one, not so much. That's what I learned from the West Indies side. The England side, so much that I learned. I didn't think much about Butler before this match started. This dude goes out there and puts on a clinic. This guy got 67 runs on 142 balls. When England needed to get runs in that first inning to get off to a hot start, you have guys like Butler. You have Rory Burns, who got 57 in the first inning. And then, he drops a 90 in the second inning. And then you got a guy like Ollie Pope, 91 runs on 150 balls. These guys, England, it's laughable. It's an assortment of riches. It's an embarrassment of riches. It's not fair what these guys have. They have so many guys. But the number one thing I learned, there was one guy that I was harping on the entire time, like he stole my lunch money. Like the guy took the last Big Mac at McDonald's, and I've been looking forward to that the entire week long, and he stole it. Like he stole my girlfriend. I had something against this guy, and I can't even explain it. When they won the second test match, this guy came back in the test match too. Not only did he call an amazing game as a captain in all 4 innings, the 2 bowling innings, the 2 batsman innings. Not only did he didn't have the best performance in the first inning, but in the second inning, when they needed to put up some quick runs so they can declare and they needed to be aggressive, and he himself took off the gloves and he said, okay, no more training wheels, no more bumper alleys. We are going to go out there and we are going to shoot for the moon. He gets 8 fours. He gets 1 6. He has a strike rate of 121 for crying out loud, 68 runs on 56 balls. This guy showed me and anyone else that possibly doubted that he is one of the best captains in Test cricket. Not only, like Gabe said, he has hands of steel where nothing's going to be dropped, but he's having fun. I have a different outlook. So I got my utensils here. I'm eating some serious crow right now because I was so wrong on this guy. And I am not even that hungry, but man, it's because I've been eating crow all day long and the last few days. And I've been throwing him love the last few days. This guy, he taught me. The main thing I learned is what a captain is, what a captain does. You set up your batsman order. You set up your bowling attack. You figure out which 2 bowlers are going to go at a time and which 2. Let's throw him some more Anderson and Broad. He comes in the second match and he says, sorry, Stokes, I appreciate you holding down the fort, but I got Anderson and Broad, and they're coming in and they're coming after them because we're just going to finish this right now. So impressed with Root. I take back most of what I said because some of those things were honest observations at the time. That's what I learned, my friend.
I will say this, all right? And just to kind of piggyback off what you said, I think that for us, everybody build Root up because they were talking about wait till you see Root play. If Joe Root had played, we don't lose that first test match. Root's amazing. They built this guy up to so high, and then when we saw him play, he was okay. And we're like, this guy ain't better than Stokes. But it's not about being better. Like you said, we learned what again, captains are way different here in the States. If you're the captain, you wear that C on your jersey here, that means you're the best player on that team for the most part. That's not the truth here, okay? And you have a responsibility to carry the entire team, all right? With that being said, what did I learn specifically from the West Indies side? We have talent. Let me explain something. Nothing to take away from England's win. Nothing to take away from the amazing performance of one Stuart Broad. Even your boy Woke. So today, what did he have? 5 or 6? He had 5 for today, right? I mean, nothing to take away from Jimmy Anderson. But how many drops did we not see, guys? Let's just be candid for a second. And we're talking about on the West Indies side. That can be fixed. Defense can be fixed. Okay? How many times I could get, and I'm being facetious here, tongue in cheek, but I know how to get Dorridge out. Dorich got out the same way every single time. He struggles with the short ball. If I notice that after watching one test series, 3 test matches, you don't think that every single other team in the world does? I'm an amateur. You got pros over there. You guys better be, and I'm talking about the West Indian coaching staff. You guys better be working on that. You guys, but here's no fret, guys. No fret, Indies fans. That's fixable. That's fixable. That's technique. Easy, duck under it. He's got to learn how to recognize that short ball player, that short ball better. Okay, wear it, but do not jump up in the air like you normally do with your bat, and it hits. And one time it knocked down his own wicket. 3 other times it then it edges off the bat, and they catch it in the slips. Like, that's his weakness. That can be fixed. Okay. Again, and you're like, well, why you mention that, Gabe, if you're talking about what you like? Because we have talent. Gabriel is amazing. You talked about he didn't have any wickets in this last match. How many drops were on it when Gabriel was there? At least 3 that I can remember. One of them was the big drop that the big man had, Cromwell. Okay. Gabriel is talented. He is the best bowler on the West Indies, in my opinion. But what's his weakness? And we already seen it. The guy is gimpy, right? The guy, for whatever reason, whether it's conditioning, training, again, this is something that can be fixed, West Indies fans. But where does it start? That's not a Gabriel thing. He's an athlete, man. Okay? He needs people above him, just like Dorich. And we're talking about coaching. I'm looking at you. I'm looking at you, West Indies training staff. I'm looking at you, West Indies coaching staff. You guys have to do better to put these guys in a position to succeed. This can be fixed, all right? Don't come in here and tell me, that, they're just lucky to have one in a game. No, we saw the talent that first game, all right, when Gabriel was healthy. Then at the very tail end, in the second inning, he came up limping. Everybody was like, oh, here's Gabriel. Bro, I heard it from every single West Indies fan. Oh, that's what it is, Gabe. He's talented. He gets wickets, but he always gets hurt. If the fans know that, don't you know the coaching staff knows that? Do something different. Fix it. Fix it. Whether it's his delivery, whether it's his diet plan, whether it's his training regimen, something needs to change to keep that guy healthy, because he is such a big part of our bowling attack. And you can see the difference. It's night and day. When he's on, forget about it. We're dominant. When he's not on, it's troubling. What am I saying here? It's not for naught. And I think that's what. If they were just garbage and they were a bad team, then it's like, oh man, these guys are. Bro, there's talent there. We saw Blackwood get 95 runs and then get himself out on a silly play. All Blackwood needs is maturity, because he gets himself out. They don't get him out. He gets himself out because he's over aggressive. He forgets that this is Test cricket. And people kept saying, well, they're a T20 team. That's all right, but they're not playing T20 right now. They're playing Test cricket, which means you play the balls that are safe and there's no risk aversion. Your job is to be up there as long as possible. That's just switching the mentality. You know what I mean? So what did I like? The fact that the future is bright as long as the coaching staff gets their act together. You guys need to go back, and you guys cannot, if they go back, and I'm talking to, I hope this message reaches Holder. There's no way the practice should be the same it's been for the last whatever you guys have been on quarantine and lockdown. You should not be holding the same practice, okay? We got to change. We got to tear this thing down, because if we got talent here, how do we maximize this talent? What are we going to do to help Dorich with his weakness on the short ball? What are we going to do to help Gabriel with his weakness, with his health and injury and conditioning? What are we going to do to make sure that our best hitter, in my opinion, Jermaine Blackwood, doesn't get himself out? Whether it's put him in the cages and have him face 1,000 balls and say, if you hit a ball in the air, I'll end you, okay? You need to go in there and make sure you play Test cricket. Make him defend until he can't anymore, till his hands bleed. But that's all coaching. This isn't players, okay? Here's the thing. Players are only as great as the coaching allows them to be. You could be super talented, but if you don't have good coaching, you're going to struggle, okay? No other coach in history has led more athletes to the promised land, okay, than Phil Jackson. Phil Jackson went from the Bulls to the Lakers and didn't drop us 3 champions over here, championships over there, 3 championships over there. You know why? Because the system worked. He took my lowly Knicks, okay, and actually made them a playoff contender. People were complaining because we didn't win a championship. Hey, Phil got us to the playoffs, Knicks fans. When's the last time we've been to the playoffs? When's the last time we've been to the playoffs? That's just real. But you need coaching. And I think that right now, the West Indies coaching staff needs to step up. On the England side, bro, what I learned is, honestly, they've already mentioned it. They got Jimmy Anderson and they've got Stuart Broad. These guys are basic. We saw history today. I was mad because the West Indies lost, but we saw history, Nick. And we're lucky because we're coming in as novices, brand new fans, and we saw history. We saw Stuart Broad get his 500th wicket. And like you mentioned, and somebody else mentioned to us in the comments, it was on the same guy. You know what I'm saying? I was joking around on Twitter and saying, who was it that gave up?
I think it was Blackwood, right?
It was Blackwood, I think. And I'm like, man, they both owe Blackwood a drink or something. You know what I'm saying? Send him a basket of mini muffins or something, because you guys made history.
Mini muffins?
I love this mini muffins, all right? I love
No,
mini
I'm just thinking of that Friends episode.
They're so delicious. But man, it's almost unfair. And I get it. People say, oh, it's because England plays well at home because of their conditions. Well, why wouldn't they? That's their pitch. They know how to bowl there. You build your team around it, okay? It's just like in baseball. The Yankees for years went and had a whole bunch of power-hitting left-handers. Why did they do that, Nick?
Short porch
and right. I'm sorry. Am I not supposed to take the home field advantage? You build
cheaters.
You know what I mean? You build your team around your environment. And I learned that they've got, honestly, two of the best bowlers in modern history for pace fast bowlers. One's already got Jimmy he's
at 580 or something like that.
580 something. So he's gonna probably hit 600 sometime in the next test match, probably. And we already have Broad at 500. Wow, it's unbelievable. That duo right there is absolutely amazing. With that being said, another thing, and this is like just a little what did I learn? England, and I'm gonna bag on you just like I bagged on the West Indies a minute ago. England's coaching staff, England's Joe Root, all those guys need to learn how to read a weather report. Okay, because twice, not once, twice, you guys almost got. And don't say, oh, don't look at the result and say hindsight's 2020. Twice, because you declared way too late, because you guys weren't paying attention to the conditions. You guys almost got drawn out. It could have gone very differently, Nick, and you and I both know that. Okay, they act like they pretend they didn't. Even today, look at all the rain. If the West Indies had just put up a fight and batted a little longer, they didn't have to chase that score. All they had to do was defend. How many rain delays? As they were hoisting the trophy, it started pouring again. You really think that if they had put on a decent batting performance, that they weren't going to be in danger of getting that game drawn out? Again, why do you need? What did they win by today? 269 runs? You don't need a massive score.
And on that point, I do have to disagree, because the weather report showed bad weather for Saturday, Sunday, Monday, but Tuesday was bright and shiny. Obviously, that's not what happened today, but Tuesday was if we're going just by the weather report, Tuesday was the best day besides Friday. And so you don't expect West Indies to go out for like a buck and some change or something like that with 10 wickets. You don't expect that in under 4 hours. So I had no problem with them going. I was saying the whole time, get at least a 350, get to 350. They got to what, like 399. So they went a little, Joe Root wants to get a few extra runs. It's worked out for the 2 games that he captained. So I'm not really going to question the method too much. If you declare too early and then all of a sudden we have at least 1 or 2 sessions on day 4, and then we just, you never know what could happen. Obviously, in hindsight, it was a crazy deal. But again, you don't expect West Indies to get bowled out. You don't expect them to get 300 on day 5. Let's be honest.
But if we're talking about what we expect, what did the announcers say? What did even the commentators say? What's the biggest score that's ever been chased down there?
294 at Old 294.
And you need a whole nother other 100? Come on.
I know, but in a day in a day and age where social media and the media is so relentless and you get second guessed for every single thing. And I'm not saying this is on Joe Root's mind. He could probably care less because he's been in the game for a while. You want to make sure that you play aggressive, but you also play conservative. There's a reason why in Test cricket that they play conservative, and then Joe Root just flipped the switch and let's go hit some sixes. Let's go have some fun. Let's play some T20 right now. So I don't really fault them for that. It worked out. To your point, if they don't have amazing performances by Wokes and Broad and the bowling side, then it could have been a different outcome. But I got to disagree with that point. But I agree with everything else you said for the most part.
But I mean, that's what I learned. And
Right.
I tell you what I learned is that cricket is an amazing game. Anybody who says Test cricket is boring hasn't actually sat through the ups and downs of a cricket match, the lows and highs. Oh,
Don't think it's not 2 feet away from me at all times.
the wicket keeper. I love it. And you know what? I'm so excited. We have it's England versus Ireland, right? First ODI of the year.
Ireland.
Ireland. Sorry, Jody's not here to correct me. But I'm so excited to see ODI and then eventually to see T20. And eventually I will land on what's my favorite form of cricket. But the point is, it's a great game. It's super fun. If you guys are in the channel, most of you guys that follow this channel, you guys are obviously cricket fans, but we have people that follow the channel because they follow our other work at Boring Reviews, some friends and families. Check out the game, man. It is fun. And it's like, I remember when I was younger, before I started a date in Savannah, I was like, oh, as a matter of fact, my very first comment was, she was like, oh, let's go watch my brother play. He's a captain of the soccer team at UNLV, whatever. And I was like, all right, cool. So we went, go watch him play. And I'm like, man, soccer is boring and soft, whatever. I'm still trying to be standoffish or whatever. And I'm meeting the brother for the first time. And no joke, very first game, my man gets red carded because he headbutts some dude. And I was like, oh, I guess it ain't soft, bro. And then he walked up to me. You seen her, brother. He's like 6'2". I'm like, I thought soccer players are supposed to be small. You know what I mean? Like, don't judge something until you try it and give it a chance. And just like I grew to love, and when I say soccer, you guys are going to recognize it as football, just as I grew to love football, I've now grown to love cricket, man. It's a great sport. Give it a try. Give it a chance. Final thoughts, Nick.
My final thoughts are, I'm just so excited. I said it's the end of our live stream that we were able to finish our first test series. This was Gabe's idea. Let's do a watch party. It was exhausting. I'm not going to lie. It was tough to wake up early. You guys saw me sleeping on the streams. But I'm so excited that we were able to get through it, and not just get through it, but we were able to experience it and we were able to enjoy it, and that we were able to see history today. Big props to number 500 for Stuart Broad. Thanks so much for letting us see that in our first test series match. I feel like I learned so much, had a whole lot of fun, had a front row seat to this guy over here at all times. So that was awesome. Thanks to everyone for joining us. Thanks for everyone for showing us love, and can't wait for ODIs. Can't wait for T20. Once T20 starts, I think we're going to have another shortest in the grocery stores, and that's going to be a popcorn, because I'm going to be running out of popcorn and enjoying myself some T20 and some CPL and all that kind of stuff. So those are my final thoughts. Thanks for checking out R3 Wickets. This is a longer, extended edition. You can call it director's cut if you want, whatever you want, but this is the full Monty right here. We hope you enjoy it. Don't forget to let us know what are your 3 wickets. Let us know what are your things that you liked, disliked, and you learned. Let's get in the chat room. Let's have conversations with one another. We're building a community here, and you are part of that community. But with all that being said, until next time.
Ah!
He didn't forget. I love it.
Woo!